Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I just thought I would do a little coffee and comments with you. There were a lot of great comments that were left on my video from last week where I talked all about Ambleside Online Year 3. So I have my daughter is going into the 3rd grade. So I just showed all of the books that are used with Ambleside Online Year 3 and shared, what we're using for math and things like that. Tons of great feedback on that video, which I really, really appreciate. And so many great comments that really help me to think and refine my own ideas on the things that I'm using. So I appreciate y'all so much. So anyway, but I have like a few comments that I think might be helpful for you guys here. So I wanted to answer them and talk about them here. One comment that showed up in many different ways was basically this one is starting Ambleside Online this year. What made you decide to buy all the books instead of thrifting them or using the free Kindle versions? Debating this myself. There's 2 comments on it that I think perfectly sum up how you could go about thinking about this. And one person says, for a lot of people, it's personal preference. I have a year 1 student right now who will be a year 2 in the fall. What I found to be a nice metric is books that are picture-based or have lots of pictures. I'll buy the physical copies because, they're visual. And if it's just text on a page, I'll use the Kindle to save space and money. Great idea, actually. And then somebody else says, I personally dislike reading off of a screen or Kindle, so I bought all the books. I'll only add to that is that I actually have thrifted a lot of the books, and then I buy the other ones because I too dislike reading off of a Kindle. I will read off of a Kindle, but not for like the bulk of everything that I do. But yeah, in my area where I used to live in Virginia, I went to a million library sales. And it was not a difficult thing for me to do because it was like my Super Bowl. I love going to library sales. So where I was living, a lot of the libraries in our area would twice a year do a box sale for $10. You could fill up this huge box full of books. And many times the books that were left there would be all the ones I wanted. So if you become familiar with the kinds of books that might be on the Ambleside Online list or just the books themselves and you know what you're looking for, you can find so many of them at library sales, thrift shops, things like that. So I did get a lot of the books that way. And then I purchase a lot of them as well, but a lot of them are reasonably priced on places like Amazon. They might be $6, $7, something like that. So that's how I do it. I also just want to repeat the fact that I only have the 2 kids. I'm not buying homeschool resources every year for 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids. I'm just working with the 2. So my budget for 2 kids would be way different than if I had 4 kids that I was having to actually purchase things for. I might think a little differently and be like, maybe we'll do a lot more audiobooks that we get for free using those library apps like Libby and Hoopla, which I do use those a lot as well. I would probably be making some different decisions. So if that's what your family looks like, you just have to do what you think is going to work best with your schedule and your finances, things like that. But I do purchase a lot of the books, especially if I'm thinking about, purchasing for my son who's older than my daughter. I'll be using them again with my daughter as well. And then after she's done with them, we can keep the ones that we really, really love and then get rid of the ones that we are like, okay, that was good, but we're not going to keep this in our library forever. Next question is, please share with us where you will be moving with Latin after Prima Latina. Thank you. Latin, I shared that my daughter will be starting Prima Latina from Memoria Press probably late this summer. And so we'll just go through that program for her 3rd grade year. After that, I'm not completely sure. I will probably go through again with her, like how I did with my son, going through getting started with Latin, which you can also just go straight into getting started with Latin. But I just found it to be kind of like a good kind of review. You're learning some more words. You are having fun with Latin every day because you're just like translating sentences back and forth, and it's just kind of fun. After that, I could keep going with Latin with her, like how I did with my son. But with my son, I was kind of using it almost as more of a holding pattern until I found something that I really thought was going to fit with him. I have found recently a program through Compass Classroom called Visual Latin 1, and then they have Visual Latin 2. And my son is trying it right now. And It is technically an intro to Latin, but it moves at a quicker pace because it's probably for more like middle schoolers and up. And I gotta tell you, he's loving it. I love it. I love that they're mixing in grammar and reading and translating and just like reading straight out of the Bible in Latin, and that the stated goal is to have you reading in Latin at the end of the course. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Because what I want, like big picture for my kids with Latin, is that they love it and they use it and read Latin and continue on with it throughout their life. Not to just like know all the grammar rules really well, but not love it. So that's just kind of what I'm always in my mind trying to balance. I'm trying to balance, like, yes, you do need to learn all of the grammar that comes with learning a language, but also I don't want to go so heavy on that it makes you hate it and not love learning. Because honestly, if you came to me with a new language, that would be really amazing to learn. If you just start pounding grammar rules into me, I'm like, this is terrible. This is boring. I don't want to do this. But if you mix in grammar rules with reading and watching movies in that language and just learning about the culture and stuff all at the same time, I'm like, ooh, this is really interesting and fun. So that was a long roundabout way of saying I don't know exactly. I'm definitely using Prima Latina, but I just want to remain open and flexible on what I think is going to work for her. I can't do exactly what I've done with my son because they're different people. So I'll see what's available at that time when she's done with Prima Latina. And then if I want to continue using the same things that I did with my son, then we'll do that. Or if there's some other kind of class that I think she might enjoy more, we'll do that. I don't know. I hear great things about lots of different Latin programs. Next one is I have such a hard time as a mom of 5 who's been using AO for 4 years because my eldest son is a terrible speller and I'm just not happy with where his spelling is. I have a hard time, quote unquote, trusting the process in terms of Charlotte Mason language arts. I get it, and I can understand how tough it is because I think in my last video I mentioned just the difference between my son and my daughter when it comes to spelling, that my son just kind of knows how to spell. Why? I don't know. It's just something that his brain can do. I was never like that. I'm still not like that. I'm still misspelling words sometimes, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't look right. How do I spell this word? I don't really worry about. And the Charlotte Mason method of just doing like written narrations and working on a little bit of grammar is going great for him. My daughter struggles with spelling, just like how she struggled a little bit with reading. And while I do trust the process of the Charlotte Mason method, I have her just in a spelling program through Rod and Staff because I'm like, well, it's not hurting anything. And it's helping her. It's kind of working on spelling in a more organized fashion. So it's like if you are really seeing a weak point in one of your children and you're like, don't be so married to any kind of a process where you're doing something that you're not feeling super comfortable or super right about. So I would just say that if you wanted to go on a spelling program, you totally should. I mean, there's a million spelling programs out there. I use Rod and Staff. I've only ever needed it for my daughter. And I like Rod and Staff. So that's all I can say, but I'm sure that a lot of people in the comments will have a lot to say about spelling. Okay, I hope that helps. It's also early in the morning for me here, so I hope that I'm making sense. So anyway, this is a really good comment that I thought might be helpful for more people. So Mom Club says, I also have a rising 3rd grader and also doing AO. The only book I'll be removing from the list will be Trial and Triumph, just because I'm Catholic and I find it heavily anti-Catholic. At first it was okay. I could just have a conversation with my daughter, but then it became very clear that we should be picking a Catholic option for religious heroes. Other than that, I absolutely love AO and I gain as much as, if not more, from it than my daughter. Yeah, same. Thanks for the video. I just thought that this comment was a great reminder to that it's possible to just completely throw out a book if you're like, I do not like how they are discussing my particular faith, and we are not going to have that going on in my house. You're wanting to talk about the Reformation period. That's cool. I can find another option. So just do that. Like, make an executive decision and find what works for you and your family. And you don't need to throw out all of Ambleside Online because you don't like this book or how they're approaching this particular topic. I'm right there with you. I totally get it. So let me see if there was anything else. The last thing that I wanted to share as a follow-up to my last video is, and I really should say this in every single video that I do about homeschooling specific stuff, is that I have 2 kids, and my son is going to be mostly independent moving forward from here with his reading level and stuff like that. So I'm really only reading to one child. And so when I was going through all the books and saying, oh, I'll be reading this one aloud and I'll be reading this one aloud, it's like if I had 4 kids that are all, 4th grade and under, that I'm needing to read aloud to, I would be making wildly different choices on how much and how many books that I'm reading aloud. So I forgot to mention that, and I really should mention that every time, that just because I'm saying, oh, I'm reading this aloud, does not mean that it's a bad choice to have this one be playing on an audiobook or to just skip certain books altogether because you have many more children that you need to be reading to or, facilitating their educations. And so again, it's kind of like with the other comment. I don't want anybody to throw away the richness of a classical education, of something like a tool like Ambleside Online, because it comes across as too much. It's just, use it to pick and choose what you want to use, what's going to work for you guys. You're the teacher, it's your family. You should make all of these decisions. So I do hope that if you have any other comments or questions that you leave them down below. I hope you subscribe. I do have a lot more videos kind of in the works that I'm working on. Some curriculum reviews, some vlogs about our life here in England, and they're all just fun, and I love doing this so much and sharing with you. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.